Okay, we are live.
Yeah, we are.
We are gonna talk about JuOn,
How
which
terrible
is
Periwinkle is. She got me hyped up on colors after this. I'll explain more about this in a second.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna talk about JuOn. This one. Oh my gosh, this is the first review we're doing coming out of hiatus.
I know. And I start the whole thing off by having a beef with Periwinkle and Indigo. Yeah, I'm going to write something where those are my villains. They're going to be named Periwinkle and Indigo. Screw this.
Yeah. It's the colors you have a beef against, not people named.
Not even characters or any kind of like subtle rename. No, if it sounds like I'm having a beef with actual shades of color, that is correct.
Okay.
I'm angry with Periwinkle. I'm angry with Indigo. Indigo is light blue. You can fight me in the comments. I don't care. Tell me it's purple in the comments. I'll fight back. I'll comment back. We'll have a back and forth.
A back and forth.
That's right.
That's
there. I'm waiting for you, Indigo. I'm there. Come to my house and I'll treat you like Toshio. Sucker. Come to my house.
Speaking of Toshio.
That's right. See how I did that?
That must be done.
I've been practicing. Listen, this is what they don't understand. Like while we were on hiatus, I used to do these like joking promos and stuff, like promoting my stuff, like watching this on YouTube. And they joked on me for doing it all the time. This is why I've been practicing. This is practicing for coming out of hiatus. It's practice.
Practice and practice.
I have.
Nicely done.
Okay, there's a movie involved. Let's let Sako talk about the movie.
Okay. So we have this arduous critique system. First off, we talk about production.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll talk about writing and what we think of that. We'll talk about characterization and how they handle like the casting and consistency and evolution and stuff like that. And lastly, we have the theme, whether the message of the movie actually hits home or not.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is one of my favorite movies. It really is.
It's getting there. Like picking it apart the way I did, I was like, this is worth picking apart. Like,
so one of the things that we're doing now that we're in season 4 of Sako and the Moon is we are finding movies that are actually more directly connected with the subject that we discussed on our Friday show. And on our Friday show, we were discussing Asian horror. And one of my favorite Asian horror movies is The Grudge, even the American version of The Grudge. But if you've seen the American version of The Grudge and you like the American version of The Grudge, then you have to go through like the whole slew of JuOns if you can find them all. Because there's more than just JuOn The Grudge. There's a whole lot of them.
There's a whole lot of them.
So I was always under the impression that JuOn The Grudge was because it's the Japanese equivalent to the American movie called The Grudge. And no, there were like 3 movies before that. One I think is and I don't have my DVDs with me, so I don't know for sure. But I believe that the very first one starts with a K. I sent it to you in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's actually a short as a bonus feature on the DVD. That one, and then there's like one that's got like a bunch of 4s on it. I forget how many 4s, but it's like 4. There's 2 shorts, I think, on the DVD, and I think those are part of it. But before JuOn The Grudge, which is best lined up for the comparison of the American version, there's JuOn The Curse, and then its sequel, JuOn The Curse 2.
And then JuOn The Grudge was number 3.
Which is what we're reviewing today. And then there's JuOn The Grudge 2. These were both on Tubi, in case you want to watch them. In fact, if you want to watch JuOn and figure out what we're talking about, I would suggest pausing this right here
I will put the link in the chat.
And then going to Tubi, watching it. It's like an hour and a half. Then come back and finish and then join us in the conversation. So
in the chat.
The most comparable to the American version is JuOn the Grudge and JuOn the Grudge 2. We're going to get into part of that in the midst of this discussion because it's set up very differently in the Japanese version versus the American version. But then there are several of them after this. There's the 3 Grudges in the American versions, all trilogies. The third one was direct to DVD, still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's JuOn Black Ghost, JuOn White Ghost, JuOn the Beginning of the End, JuOn the Final Curse, and then for the very few people who saw it, Sadako and Kayoko.
Which I kind of want to see. I'm not going to lie.
I saw it. It was ridiculous. Is it just as ridiculous as you think it's going to be? That's what it is. Okay. So Kayoko is one of the main antagonists in this movie, in the Grudge series, where there's a haunted house. Sadako is
not Sadako, but or are you talking about the
from the ring?
Like Ringu? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the cursed tape. And this is the cursed house. So in this movie that we're not talking about, but we're going to roughly brief you on, because if you can find it, you should watch it. It's just ridiculous. They're like, well, these 2 demons are going to just exist everlasting. So how do we beat them? Well, what if we just put them up against each other? They're like, how do you want to do that? They're like, well, we'll play the cursed tape in the cursed house. So they play the tape from the ring in the house from the Grudge.
Mm-hmm.
And then that wakes up both spirits. And now they're fighting to take the souls of the people involved, the people who watched the tape and were in the house. So they're fighting each other over those souls. It's ridiculous. I fucking love it. So if you get a chance to find
that, I will hunt that down.
If you can appreciate the beauty that is Velocipaster, then you'll appreciate this. It's not as goofy, but it's
not as goofy, but it's just goofy enough.
It's like if you're a fan of Asian American remakes of Japanese horror movies, that's right up your alley. Because it's like The Ring and The Grudge are these two.
I think it's the same director, because Sadako was inspired by Kayoko.
They may have been. Let's see.
JuOn came first, and then came Ringu.
Either way, they are bloody dope. They are great. And if you get a chance to see that last one, you should. But again, the one we're discussing today is JuOn the Grudge. Very specific. Oh, there's that 4 one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 10 4s. It was a video from 98. It came first.
Oh,
yeah,
it did come first.
Yeah, it's. I believe that those 2 are shorts that are on the DVD for JuOn the Grudge. So you find the DVD for JuOn the Grudge, you're going to see those 2 movies, those 2 little shorts. You'll watch JuOn the Grudge. And for those who have never seen any of these, the Japanese ones, it's set up like an anthology. It's set up like an anthology, which is great. You have your base premise of this movie, right? Where you have this really bad situation that happened in this house as a domestic violence, domestic abuse type of situation that leads to death. The husband loses his shit, kills the wife, kills the dog, kills the son, kills the cat. And that creates the curse that is over this house where everything took place. And if you set foot in the house, you are cursed, and these entities will come for you regardless. And they don't play around. They don't just like grab you right then and there. They'll mess with you.
They will doom you to also be.
They will torture you,
which is they will make you a ghost too.
It's insane. Like it's not like they're gonna. This isn't like The Ring where they call you and like, hey, I'm gonna grab you in 7 days. Be ready. It ain't that. And it's not like It Follows, where the demon's just going to be right in the reach, just looking for you. No. They're just going to be like, hey, we're going to fuck with your head for as long as we want to. Maybe a day, maybe a minute, maybe a week, maybe a year. Who knows? We don't care. We're going to get you, though. You belong to us now, and we're going to get you when we're ready. If we can use you to get other people here, we will. But until then, just know we're going to get you.
Love that. That was kind of the driving force behind the ghosts. And we'll get into that when we get into characterization, I think. But for now, let's get into production.
Okay.
So, art direction. Obviously, they had storyboards.
Mm-hmm.
And they were loyal to them, especially in the beginning. Makeup and props. Eyeshadow and white paint. Apparently, it took 2 hours each to do the makeup on the ghosts.
Listen, the ghosts haunt me since the first time I watched this, like, what, 20 years ago? Like something ridiculous. I still don't like little kids. If a little child meows around me, kids gotta go.
Kids gotta go.
I can't. It's like when kids leaving a cornfield. Kids gotta go.
Apparently there is a Japanese folklore regarding when children die, the ghosts meow. They become strays when a child dies, so they communicate by meowing.
Yeah, I can't mess with that. No. See, now when
a kid meows, it means they're dead.
Yeah, can't do that. So now, if you watch the backstory, which is a trigger warning for those who are sensitive because it's kind of violent. The baseline backstory of the whole thing is like the wife. It's a husband, wife, and a child, and a cat. And the wife, if you watch The Grudge, it's a lot cleaner because The Grudge, the American version, is linear. The story is very linear.
Yeah, as opposed to having 5 points of view.
Yeah, JuOn is not linear at all. So you kind of have to focus and pay attention. But the baseline backstory is that the wife is a college student, falls in love with a professor. She writes this stuff in her diary, and the husband finds it. He's not happy. He goes off on the wife, kills the wife. Child's there. Poor kid did nothing wrong. He's just chilling with his cat. He drowns the cat. So he breaks the wife's neck and then drowns the kid with the cat. And that's why those two spirits are kind of together. That's the story that I've picked up. And then he realizes he fucked up and he hangs himself. So
that is our backstory and our plot. Absolutely.
And it has to be pretty graphic. That is graphic, and it has to be because the whole thing the legend you get from the beginning of the movie is that it has to be this fit of rage, and there's deaths from this fit of like extreme rage, and that's what creates the curse. It has to be bad enough to create the curse. So there's some people will sit back and say, hey, does it have to be that bad? Yes. In this case, yes, it did. Now, again, the story doesn't focus too much energy on that story, but you have to kind of understand it to understand how certain parts are interacting. So when you get there, you can kind of see when you like the makeup and the cinematography, there's going to be some shots, and I love some of the shots that are used. You get the intertwining of the character that's the subject of the segment, and then there's like over here a running child. Over here, like your focus is here. Look at me, and then right over here, there's
a kid
in the window.
In the window, the elevator scene.
Oh, this is fantastic.
When Izumi is going up in the elevator and you see the boy in the window on every floor.
Oh, that's my favorite part.
So well done.
Good. It's so well done.
So cinematography, certainly, I think the videographer definitely had a videography background, though the use of film kind of dates it.
It does, and there's great communication between whoever was the director of photography and the editor. And something that I've learned very recently is that there has to be a very good understanding between producers, directors of photography, and your editors for your movie to come out the way you're like it's intended to be. As a writer, you trust those 4 people to produce what it is that you are writing down. And I think whoever did that here nailed it. Like I said, this is one of my favorites.
Also, surround sound on Tubi.
Oh, listen, the sound direction. I don't think we have a special spot for sound direction. We don't. We're going to put it here.
We don't, but we should.
We know it's production. We can put it in here. Sound. Listen, you're going to get a lot of jump scares, but the jump scares are more audio than they are visual. You're going to get a lot of crazy sounds here. You're going to get a lot of creeping, like creaking in the old house. There's a lot of like I said, with the kid showing up, the use of the cat sounds, the meowing, and there's actually a slightly different cat sound between the boy who uses the cat sound and the actual cat that is with him, which is also a ghost. It's crazy. Like you're doomed. Once you see a cat after being in that house, you're locked. Like it's over for you. But the use of sound is really, really good. So if you can have the sound around you or have it on headphones, great experience.
Great experience on headphones. Yeah.
Watch it in the dark, but not at night. Don't do that.
Oh, please do that.
I rewatched it at midnight, right before I went to bed. All the lights were out, and I was like, "This is how I fucked up." I knew better. 2 movies get me: JuOn versus The Grudge. JuOn gets me, and The Strangers, the original one. Both of those movies, those really get me because there's just something. The Strangers, which we'll get to one day, is very realistic, but JuOn is very, very haunting. The sounds will haunt you. Just the simple use of sound direction,
and the scratching, moving around.
Creaking. And I just got a new house, so I'm still learning the sounds of this house. And yeah, boo for creaking floors. But yeah, no, sound direction is fantastic in this movie. You have to make sure that you can hear the sounds very loud, very around you. Wear them, get it in headphones, get in surround sound, have your speakers up, make sure they're calibrated right, the right thing. The right sound direction is great.
Yep.
So I'm gonna give it an easy star on this first section.
Easy star on everything production wise. Absolutely. Okay. Second is writing.
Now, like I said, the interesting part about JuOn is that JuOn is not a very linear story like its American counterpart. In The Grudge, the one that stars Sarah Michelle Gellar, who was great in that movie, by the way. That was like right off the heels of I Know What You Did Last Summer. She did great. But Sarah Michelle Gellar, that one is very linear. It starts here, ends here. You follow the story from here to here. Very linear. This is done very anthology-wise. So it's about people who interacted with the house within a period of time. And I tried my hardest to create a timeline of how it all went down. I was doing these notes before I had to go get the kids. And I bring all this up now because if you're writing this intentionally, then you have to write the whole script out, the whole linear story, and then follow each character as they break off from that linear line. And that is done very, 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 very well throughout the course of this series. Like not just in JuOn the Grudge, but JuOn the Grudge 2 and the other ones that I've seen, it's done very well. Very, very well.
Actually, POV hopping is typical if showing. I dare say that the movie revolved around Rika.
Interesting. Okay, so Rika is a volunteer at a social worker center, like a social work center, right? She's not an actual social worker. She's just a volunteer at the center. And one of the volunteers, the actual social workers, disappear from the house. A married couple has bought the house after the cursed couple. They bought the house. They brought their mother with them. And she's older, she's ill, and they have someone to watch. And this is people from the center. So you have the people from the center and you have the family involved. And these are the people that we're following because all of these people are in the house and they're all doomed. And no one knows better.
Doomed. And no one knows better. Yeah.
Yeah. So it starts
except
off
for Rika.
Rika she fucked around and found out very fast.
Yes.
You know what? She wasn't even trying to find
still lost.
Wasn't even trying to fuck around.
Lost.
She was like, listen, I'm not even supposed to go to places, like, for real. But the dude's like, hey, man, so-and-so disappeared. I don't know what to tell you.
Go check out Sachi. Yeah.
Go figure it out.
Who gets an Emmy, by the way. Yeah. I loved...
The mother is what she's talking about. For someone to just sit there, she basically just sits there. And all of her acting is physical. It's physical acting.
It's physical acting.
And it's
the hands in front of the face, like,
which is a thing. Like, you don't realize it until like a later part of the movie. This is a thing where this is
the thing where you can only see the ghost if you.
And I'm not sure if it clarifies that in this one, or if it clarifies it in the Grudge, in JuOn the Grudge 2.
It clarifies it in the Grudge.
It also highlights more in the Grudge 2. So these are either two different films, but they're both highlighted. Where when you do this is how you can see the ghost most clearly. Why that? Who knows? Who cares? It doesn't matter why it works. It just does. But the mother, it's all physical acting. It's all in her face to show blankness, to show terror, while also being blank. Chef's kiss in the acting there.
Yeah, she did great.
Which highlights the actors and the directing and the writing. That's the section we're on. It's the writing section. But like I said, there is a, and I'm sure Sako can attest to this. To write all these characters going through the exact same motions, but then going to different vantage points, and having those parts come together coherently. That is not an amateur writer. An amateur, I wouldn't put that on me to do. I wouldn't try it. Not yet. I'm not there. I'm not there. But whoever this writer was, fantastic job in getting this together.
Dialogue. Well, there is some things that were lost in translation from Japanese to the subtitles. I would have translated it differently. I understood about half of it and would have translated it a little differently, but I'm not a translator, so
right. That is one of the things about watching foreign films. We had this conversation. I was having a conversation with Don Guillory and James Sabata at one point, where we were watching a foreign film, and one of us had the subtitles on, and one of us had the dubbing on. And I've before had both on the same film because I don't mind reading.
It's fun doing it that way because the transition.
You'll also see where the difference is. Like Sako was pointing out, you'll see where sometimes even in the same film, the same scene, from the captions to the dubbing, the translations are different. So whoever did the translating of the original text to text for subtext, for the subtitles, versus whoever did the audio replay to dub it, got a different translation. And Robotech in the 90s, that was real done a lot, like real bad. In that the storylines were entirely different. That's crazy.
And like they renamed all the characters, and I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just following up with you. I was just like to go back to to understand the plot of a foreign film, it helps if you know the language and you just watch it in its original voice. That is the number one way to watch a foreign film. Just learn the language. This is not sponsored by Duolingo, but we should be. But as far as the plot is concerned, there is still a lot done in the visual and the acting of the characters. Like we were talking about the mother a second ago, when you see the portrayal, what's on the screen, not necessarily what's said, but when you see what's done on the screen, the plot line is still conveyed of what's happening. He will still act terrified of certain sounds, they still react a certain way. You can still follow. I would almost say I would almost challenge, this was done well enough that you could probably mute this and generally follow along with what's happening.
Yes.
I think it's the visual storytelling of this movie is so good, despite the fact that you may not get an idea of the culture, you may not understand the legend, and if you're not getting the translation maybe exactly the way the writer intended, I would challenge, and I'm really willing to go back and do it my damn self. I'd be willing to go back and watch it and see if you can convey. Now, maybe not me because I already know the story pretty well, so maybe I'm not the right one. But if you've never seen this, maybe I challenge you. Go watch JuOn, come back. Matter of fact, go ahead and pause this now. Go watch JuOn, muted, pause here, and then come back and then tell me, could you follow the plot line? Could you follow along just by watching? And I think with, like we were talking about, the visualization where the ghosts pop up and there's the little spots around, I think that can easily be done. So the plot's still pretty well done. The dialogue is almost, well, it's enough. It's
in Japanese, it's a little more rounded. Like in the sense that it's a lot more fleshed out than just calling a name.
In general,
or saying I'm home.
And I can't even call it a complaint. It's not even a complaint. It's not a complaint. But I would say I wouldn't be able to give top notch in just the subcategory of dialogue because there isn't a lot of it.
Right.
There isn't a lot of it, but what is said is enough. So that begs the difference. Like, there's not a lot of dialogue, but the dialogue there is necessary and it does the job. There's also not a lot of filler. So it doesn't feel like
there's
a natural
not a lot of filler. If there was filler, it was in the third act.
I wrote about that one. That was the sister. That was
the daughter of the cop? Question mark?
No. The third one should have been, because I was taking notes before I left. And the third, I got down to the fourth one. So the third one was Hatsumi. And
yeah.
I'm a totally screw up Japanese names because I suck at it. It was before the vowel shift in English. So the great vowel shift. Go to Rob Words for that. He had no idea who I am. But she is the sister and of the guy from the couple. They're supposed to
Izumi, yeah.
Yeah, Kazumi and Katsuya.
Yeah, Katsuya was called. So I think that they're the same person.
They're not. The one's the
Katsuya
is the husband, and Katsumi is the wife.
Okay.
Because for a second there, I thought that Katsuya was the wife, and I was following the wife, and then I realized that no one ever calls her that. And then when I do hear the name in that segment, because that second segment is his, that's when I realized that it's how the ghost haunts him in that segment. And you really do have to follow all of them together for all the parts to make sense together.
The use of light. I meant to mention this in the production, but when the husband darkens, when the when the ghost actually like possesses him. Just beautifully done. Like the look on his face, he goes from a very jovial guy to like, I'm gonna murder you.
Yeah.
And it's so well done, so well acted. And just the use of light, like there wasn't any makeup, there wasn't any CG,
because the movie really does, and I guess maybe we can like just kind of like touch back on this production note. The movie, it really is a very visual movie, which is one of the reasons why I say you could probably get away with not listening to it and follow along enough, because there's so much happening visually. Like when in the scene, because like I said, the curse involves the husband, the wife, and the child. So there are times when usually if you watch it, the husband is possessed by the husband of the cursed. So it's Katsuya is haunted by Takio. And I wrote it down because I knew I was going to fuck it up. And so he's the one that's causing the inflicting the pain in a sense. So when you see this jovial Katsuya become Takio, it's in the lighting, it's in his face. Kudos to the director, kudos to the actor, kudos to everyone on film who's responsible for all the lighting direction and such. This is it's 20 years old, 22 years. No, older, 25 years.
25 years.
25. Was it a 98 or it was 98 or 2000 when this came out?
2000.
So it's a 25-year-old movie. Movie production has changed a lot in 25 years. And this is still, when it's good, it's good.
When it's good, it's good.
You know, I'll just stop it there. When it's good, it's good. And just like you're pointing out with the lighting, it's good.
So the plot is based on the Japanese folklore revolving around the hungry ghost.
Yes.
Which is when a very emotional death happens, which is onryo.
If you say so.
It is a specific kind of ghost.
Yes, we covered a little bit of this.
Which doesn't exist in Western culture.
It doesn't. And we covered a little bit of this if you go back and watch our episode from last Friday on Asian horror. We did practically talk about this a little bit. So go back. We won't spend a lot of time on that in this because we already talked about it there. So go back and watch that one.
That one. You can find it in the cards.
Yeah, it's I'm sure Sako will put it somewhere.
It's up there somewhere. Pacing. I thought it was kind of a slow burn in the beginning. Lots of spooky spikes. Kind of slow in the third act, but a really banging end.
Yeah, and that, again, it's really kind of almost unfair to judge a movie on its pacing when it's done anthology style, because each piece has a beginning, middle, and end. Each piece has the interaction with the house and where it fits in like the grand timeline of things that are happening, and then when the person gets got. And so I think that each segment is set up really, really well. By the third or fourth part, you're like, okay, I've seen some of the pieces that are interacting and crossing over. I get how this is about to play out, or at least that it is about to play out. Some scenes do overlap, which I love that. From the first segment, from the first segment, while Rika's in the house, she gets a phone call on the voicemail, and you get to see the sister, and you get to see the voicemail being left in the third part before she carries on. So if you look at the timeline of how that plays, Rika gets got at about the same time Hatsumi gets got. So
yeah,
it sets up really, really well. But again, to call pacing like you would a linear movie. It's almost unfair. However, each segment does a really, really great job not to dwell too long, and the amount of time that it is drawn out is done intentionally, but there are little pieces. So if you think you've gone a whole segment without seeing any ghostly interactions, rewind it. You missed something. That's on you, but that's also on purpose. They did that so masterful to just, like for the elevator scene.
Little glimpses.
The elevator scene we pointed out already. If you're focusing on her being tired, because they take, if you look at my box here, where I am, they'll take the frame on this third, the line of this third, while the elevator is going up on the line of this third. Like if you split it in thirds, like this, like that, then the line here is where she's leaning in the elevator. The line here is where the window, the door to the window is of the elevator. And that's where you see Toshio just popping up, just little bits until the end. So if you're focusing here like you're supposed to, you're missing this. So my point is, if you go through a whole segment and you think, oh, they went too long without a scare, without a ghost, it's because you missed it. Go back, and you'll be surprised.
You know, when Rika is investigating the house and Toshio is running around behind her, like, or Rika sees the cat and is
and then like non-ghost Toshio is just as scary as ghost Toshio. Because there's a part where she sees him as a regular boy. Rika, the first part, she sees him as a regular boy, and she's like,
in a photo.
She's like, no, in the closet.
Oh, in the closet, yeah.
In the closet, and then she's like, yo, she goes downstairs, like, yo, you got a kid upstairs. Like, he's been in the closet, and the closet was taped up. First of all, if you go to somebody else's house and there's a closet that's taped up, do not untape that closet.
I'm gonna get into that.
Don't do that.
A bit, but yeah.
That's just hood notes. Don't untape that closet. Get the fuck out. In this case, it's already too late. You're already in the house, so you're already doomed.
Women. So actually, we're getting into that now.
Go for it.
Women constantly doing the stupid thing. Don't take the tape off the door. Yeah,
this is a character. So let's hold on. Let's give her take a star from writing and move on to characterization.
Oh, you're right.
But I don't want you to lose your pacing on characterization. This is a star for me. You're gonna get all positives from me on this one, just a high note, because I do love how good the plot is and the pacing per segment. Dialogue is up and down. It's really unnecessary, but what's there is useful. So I'm not against it. So I can give it a star on my part.
I'll have to think on that.
Okay, I'm cool with that. So
for
that's a
writing,
half star. Yeah, that's a half star for now. It's a half star for now. We will revisit this and see how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Let it simmer. Let it simmer there for a second.
Let it simmer.
Let it brew like a nice tea, like a nice Japanese tea. See what I did there?
Indeed.
Been practicing.
Don't follow the black cat to the attic.
Don't follow the black cat in sentence, full stop.
It's a sign of the times.
But you were in the middle of talking about something that I think is actually really worth the conversation. The idea of women doing the stupid thing. Is that what you were saying? Carry with that.
Well, that is basically what I was talking about. Don't take the tape off the door. It's there for a reason. Don't follow the black cat to the attic. It's a sign of the times. And
so is that a reflection of like Japanese culture and at the turn of the century? Even current? I am less familiar with genuine Japanese culture, although like we were talking about in our episode on Friday about Asian horror, which you should go back and watch. Watching foreign movies gives you an insight into foreign cultures, because this is what their bases of their movies are from. This is normality to them. So what are you seeing in this characterization?
Okay, so in Japanese media, the airheaded like woman is prominent. Like the useless vagina, as I call her.
Interesting. Okay.
They want diversity, and so they put in a woman. However, the woman isn't particularly. Sometimes she's smart, or she's the straight man, or whatever. But she doesn't have a reason to be in the show. Like, she doesn't have a reason to be in the movie.
So there are. Go ahead. No, I had a follow-up question. Go ahead.
No, follow-up.
My question is, so there are a lot of cultures around the world, and in some cases, even American culture, where we look at men as the strong heroes of the day, and the women are the, for lack of a better term, damsel in distress. Like, they have to do something silly for the man to come through and save the day. So this is prominent in a lot of old film from pretty much everywhere. It sucks. Which is why we love movies with strong female characters. But at the same time, do you believe that these situations are set up like intentionally? Like, do you think that she is, Rika, for example, was placed in this situation on purpose?
I think Rika,
from a characterization standpoint, like, do you think that she is characterized as the?
She's not entirely useless. But Izumi and the
Kazumi,
the sister
Hitumi,
and
Hitumi,
Izumi,
the sisters,
Hitumi.
Yeah, the I sounds like an E. So
the student, the daughter of the and there is no reason why those characters are there, right? So there's no. I think Rika does a lot of stupid things. But in Japan, I guess men don't come forth to save the day or anything like that. So Rika doesn't make it.
I'm trying to. Well, in the end, none of them do. Spoiler. In the end, no one gets it. Like, that's one of my favorite parts. Makes it. The best part about the Grudge, whether it's the JuOn or the American trilogy, nobody ganks it out. There's always going to be a spoiler for all of them. Every time I haven't seen like the beginning of the end and the final curse. I haven't seen those, but when you're looking at JuOn's 1, 2, or the Grudge 1, 2, and 3, the American trilogy, no matter how hard they try, no matter what spells they try, no matter how much of a journey they go through or whatever, no one gets out. No one gets out alive. It gets everybody. The curse. Gets everybody. The curse will get you. The curse will win. As long as that house is standing, the curse will win, and the curse will stay. The house will stay standing. That house. Which, we always say in Vegas, the house always wins. In Japan, that house always wins.
They mowed it down in 2019.
The real one? Yeah, I would.
Down in 2019. You're not gonna get my it was a Hollywood big, thing for the franchise.
Yeah, I would not go nowhere near
people that. Were like, I need to go to the JuOn house, and
you guys can have it.
A lot of people were doing it. Not and me. So it was condemned.
No, sir. No, ma'am. No turkey. No ham. You're not going to get my ass in that house. No, you're not. The Scream house? Yeah, that house. No. So back to characterization. Okay. In my naivete, I was just going to say, in my naivete, I look at Rika like she was the volunteer, not the social worker, so she felt uncomfortable doing the job. That explained her behavior. I look at the husband, wife, and sister, and the mother for that matter, but they don't really do a POV from the mother. But the husband, the wife, and the sister as basically fodder for the ghost. So there are extra segments to follow. Because I think all three of them get their own segment. I think. I'm not sure if Kasumi gets one.
Yes.
She does? Okay. There's also Rika's supervisor, but he doesn't really play a whole big part.
He doesn't really
count.
count.
He's not really important. But again, it's one of those things where the men are portrayed
he gets stuffed into he gets stuffed under a shelf.
Yeah, he'd be all right.
If I remember correctly.
He's in the corner. He's just, again, he kind of this kind of pulls my point, actually, that I think that the characters were there as body count, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were just there for body count. So we have different perspectives to show that regardless of how you interact with the house, whether you're the owners of the house and you just visit, or you're the detectives that had investigated the previous murder when it took place, because in the end they go back and they check and everybody died. Like when they go back to say, oh, what about the original murders that took place in this house? It's like, have you talked to anybody from that case? And they're like, no, they're all dead. Hatumi, she goes to she sees some strange things. She goes to her building's security guy's like, oh, it's on the 3rd floor or 7th floor, whatever, let me go check it out. He ends up dead. She ends up dead or missing.
Missing, yeah.
Yeah, she ends up being missing. Rika's missing. They find Katsuya and Kazumi in the attic. I mean, and then of course you don't realize how they get to the attic until you go back and realize that there's a scene where he's carrying her. Katsuya is carrying Kazumi through the house, like in the background of a segment, and he just carries her out, and you're like, where is he going? To the attic, and then they both die because the ghost gets them. It's crazy. Everybody gets got, and I just figured it's all body count. It may be a cultural thing that I'm less familiar with, so I'll
no, I think it's body count. Yeah,
we could both be right. I'll concede to my ignorance.
So, incongruencies. At the end, when Rika is tracking down Mariko, there are shoes at the door and footprints in the carpet and like the whole shebang. But when but Mariko is wearing shoes when she's sucked into the attic.
Is she? Like wearing house shoes?
Yeah.
Didn't notice. Rika,
but there are footprints in the footprints.
Were those ghost prints?
They must have been.
I don't know. I think Rika is the character that Sarah Michelle Gellar plays, essentially.
Yes.
In the Grudge.
Yes.
That's if you want to compare the two, that's where she fits in into this. But again, like we mentioned the casting, and I look at the ghost. They actually hired a contortionist to play Kayoko, and flawless behavior.
Especially during that scene where she's coming down the stairs covered in blood.
Yeah, no. I told y'all this because you need someone that can bend and can be really janky, like just janky and jerky, and she does that. So like that's not
so
effects.
Well. Yeah,
that's just her being a contortionist. That's just her. And they wanted that out of a character, and they knew that they had to find an actress who could just do that. And that's why they got her. Toshio looks so innocent. He's a cute little boy. He looks so innocent. He will instantly spell your doom. That's great casting. And we already talked about the mother. We talked about the mom, who does next to nothing besides. It's all face character acting. It's all right here. Right there. Just Vogue it right here. And it's fantastic. I love the casting of this. I don't know the Japanese actors well enough to say no one else could have done it, but whoever did do it did a damn good job.
Yeah. Yeah. The flashes of realization at the end, I felt were kind of needed. I had watched it over a week instead of in one sitting, and I kind of needed the reminders as to her interactions with Kayako. So,
and that's just really good, consistent, and the good storytelling. That's good writing. That's good saying, like, hey, I want to make sure that the audience gets it. I was kind of playing artful here, because it's one of the things that writers do. Sako can attest. We get artful and artsy in like early part, but by the time we're wrapping stuff up, we're like, okay, now listen, now we gotta make sure you follow, otherwise you miss the whole thing I'm doing here. So we gotta make sure that there's some way of making sure it's tight. A conversation between two characters, flashes, where I think it might have been Rika who goes back through and does the revision of like the seeing of how the house was or what the story was in the visions, and just adds to the haunted factor of things. So I loved it. And I think you're right. The story ties up real nicely because of it.
POV. So they did 5 different sections.
That sounds about right. 5 or 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost count. I was counting today, but I didn't finish it in the rewatch today to count them. I got up to 4. I got up to 4, and I think there's still like 1 or 2 more after that one. So yeah, about 5 or 6.
They split the POV among characters who were adjacent to the ghost in whatever way. And I was listing all the characters and then was like, okay, there's too many characters. So it was mostly Rika. That was kind of the center point of the movie.
And I like that for her. I like that for that character. I liked her being the center point, because she is a non-involved neutral party, all things considered, because she wasn't the original social worker and she never knew the family.
Right.
So that made her a good neutral view. I like that one.
Right. Lastly, and we've got like 7 minutes.
That'll be all right. That'll be all right.
We'll run over. It'll be fine.
We're live. Fuck them. Did you give that one a star for the 3rd section? Because I did.
Yeah, I give it a star.
Okay, and we will go back and revisit. Acting. We will revisit section 2 after we talk about theme. So hang tight, because we still got more scoring to do.
Okay. The message. What do you think the message is?
Don't fuck around other people's houses.
Mine is, sometimes the evil has nothing to do with you.
I mean, you know what I tell people? If I wanted to give a more serious answer to follow up with yours, because I like your answer so much better than mine. I tell this to my kids all the time. I have to remind them that sometimes bad people do good things, and sometimes good people do bad things. And and I say that because just because someone does something nice doesn't mean that they're great people, but just because someone made a mistake doesn't make them automatically bad and they're not redeemable. That's the point of that lesson. But it ties into sometimes bad things happen to good people. And this whole franchise is about that. This family, the only person who did anything bad ultimately was Takio, the husband from the cursed family, because the girl didn't cheat. She just had a crush on a teacher, and the son was innocent. The cat didn't do nothing. So homie fucked up. That's only him, and nobody else did anything wrong, but everybody gets got.
From what I understand, Kayako put the curse on him and on the house.
That probably
the ghost did.
Yeah. Now I don't see a lot of that in this movie, but if you follow through the franchise, then especially the American remake of the franchise, you get into the Grudge 2, the one with, was it Amber Tamblyn that plays in the second one? I think so. I always get Amber Tamblyn and Michelle Trachtenberg mixed up. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
But if you go into the lore as it's plays out in the Hollywood version, Kayoko has some very mystical background in her own right. Her mom used to put like evil spirits in her, like would take evilness out of a customer and put it into her. It's a crazy movie. Go watch The Grudge too. But no, that kind of does check out with what you're saying about how the curse was placed. But in the end, no one from this movie, the characters from the movie, none of them did anything wrong.
Oh no, they just entered the house.
They just showed up. They showed up.
They entered the house at some point, and they saw the boy, which is a warning.
Evil's going to get you.
And then Kayako or Yuta? The husband? I forget. The husband. The one on the thumbnail, that Takio. Guy.
Takio is the husband. And then Toshio was the boy.
Toshio was the boy, yes. Yeah, so
not detailed the notes, but I had some. I had to make sure I had that down because I knew I was going to screw it up. I never knew his name until like 3:00 today.
Tone and mood. This shit happens in the day.
It does.
Japanese don't mess around. The Western stuff always happens at night. JuOn even uses the changes in daylight to delineate when they're seeing a flashback and when they're in reality, which is like nighttime.
And again, you can tell all this without dialogue, without the vocal, without any kind of voice. This is what I'm saying, but you can do everything. You can tell the whole story just by visual. And like we talked about on Friday, that's the thing about Japanese horror or like Asian horror in general, Japanese horror, Korean horror. They'll fuck with you midday. Noon is not safe. You can walk around and find out at lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the classic American, werewolves, nighttime.
Sure.
Vampires, nighttime. When is Frankenstein's monster coming out? There was a storm at night. All these creatures are going to come out. The freaks come out at night.
At night.
All these crazy things happen at night. You figure during the day, you're fine. Even going back to some classics like Scream. I'm a big Scream fan. Casey Beckert, nighttime. Sydney's First Attack. She wakes up from taking a nap during the day, wakes up at night, which her first attack comes out. The final scene in Scream, nighttime. All these things happen at night. And that's like a classic. Like the darkness is where your fears come. That's why people are scared of the dark. I feel like my daughter's going to break into the room here in a minute, which is fine. She can break it in. It's fine. It's cool. She loves this movie too. She's never seen it. No, she's 5. She's never seen it.
She's 5. No.
But Asian horror, like we talked about on Friday, go back and watch that episode. Asian horror, they'll fuck you up during the daytime. And a lot of this stuff will fuck you up during the daytime. There's one scene in The Grudge 2, JuOn The Grudge 2, where one of the girls who had been in the house, she had taped up her windows. And when the ghosts come get her, middle of the bloody day. They just get you during the daytime. It doesn't matter. The ghost is going to get you when the ghost feels like it. You are never safe. And I guess if I had to find one message from this movie is that once you're cursed, you're never safe.
Yep. It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter.
Like, and it's not, and if you go to like the whole franchise is great. So if you find any Grudge related movie, you find and watch it. If you watch The Grudge 2, there's a subplot with some schoolgirls. One girl leaves Japan and goes back home to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Still gets it from Chicago. There's no safe distance. Once you are cursed, you are not safe. Kayoko will get you. You will get got. And that's just, it seems like the theme is overly hopeless in the greatest horror way possible. Because sometimes big horror fans, myself included, we love it when the bad guy wins. And if you love when the bad guy wins, this movie, this franchise, most of Asian horror is right up your alley. It's for you.
Yep.
It just is.
Okay. So I have, for backstory, we've kind of talked about the backstory a little bit,
Little bit.
but I have some trivia
Okay.
that I've put up. We talked about Toshio meowing and little kids meowing mean that they're dead, right?
Mhm.
So the guy who played the dad was terrified of cats already, IRL.
Mhm.
Like,
Bet.
and so having the cat on the set was problematic.
I bet it was. And he goes
Mhm.
back and watch this movie. He's like, yeah, no, fuck no. It's like, why are you scared of cats? You watched the movie I was in? Did you see that shit? That's why.
That's why. The backstory that creates the curse in this series is strongly reminiscent of the myth of Oiwa, a traditional Japanese onryo, or resentful ghost, legend. Oiwa was a housewife disfigured and brutally murdered by her unfaithful husband. She returns to haunt him and makes him murder his new lover. According to the legend, a curse accompanies her story, and those who retell it will suffer injuries and even death. The disfigured aspect of the onryo is likely what inspired Sadako in Ringu.
Like, The Ring is great. Like,
Mm-hmm.
go back, watch Ringu. Matter of fact, it's a little bonus. Ringu and The Ring, they're damn near identical.
Mm-hmm.
They whoever, when they did The Ring,
They tried to give the Ring a little more plot.
little, but again,
Just a little more.
When you watch JuOn, for example, and you watch other classic Asian horrors, was it Dark Tales of Japan?
I have that.
I have that. I gotta find it. It's in my horror trunk that's in storage. But yeah, find that DVD. That's a fucking banger right there.
That is some fun.
Yeah,
that is like the Spider Woman and the it's so fun.
I'm always talking about Train to Busan, but again, I forgot the point that I was making because I got really excited with Dark Tales from Japan.
I was talking about Sadako being in Ringu, and you were like, well,
right. Because they did a really good job at going scene for scene and showing like they're practically the same movie, but The Ring does add a little bit more depth through the plot. I think it's more of an audience thing, more of for the sake of American audiences. American audiences are expecting X, Y, and Z, and American filmmakers know that American audiences need X, Y, and Z before they're happy. And I think when you get into foreign horror in general, whether it's Asian horror or French horror, be careful with French horror, or even English horror, you don't need all the same bells and whistles that American horror gives you. And I don't want to go too deep into that because I'll be here forever on foreign horror in general because French horror is fucked up in its own right.
I
do too.
French horror.
But
we'll talk about French horror.
There's a whole difference between Martyrs and High Tension. Like that's I can talk forever on those.
Marianne. We can. Yeah,
but
that's a later episode.
But there's a lot of little particulars that American horror fans need. A lot of American film fans need, and I think when you make remakes, they have to add those in. But when you look at a movie like JuOn or like Ringu, like you see horror at its purest in a sense. There's a purity to that because it's like they don't put a lot of filler in. There's not a lot of filler dialogue. There's not like a bunch of filler jump scares just because. It's horror. It's horror at its horror at its purest. Asian
Dread. Horror. I feel like JuOn did Dread so well. So for the theme, I give it a star.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a 4-star for me all day. which goes back to writing for you, Sako. Have you had time
I'm gonna say
to?
yes. I'm gonna say yeah. Give it a star.
So I think that's 4 stars all around, right? So
That's
this is a
4
4-star
stars
movie.
all around. Which it's been a minute since we've done that.
Yeah, I can't remember what the last one we did was. Was it
That was
Han?
no, the last one we did was
Velocipaster?
Velocipaster,
That was
but it I don't think it was a 4-star.
I don't think it was either, because there are some things that Velocipaster just did not do right. But at the same time, Velocipaster may have not done them right on purpose, because Velocipaster is Velocipaster, which is a very special movie. I don't care who you are. It's listen, Linda. Listen. It's not a technically great film, but there's some wonderful. It's a damn good ride, though. If you are just looking for something fun to put on TV for an hour or so, find Velocipaster. It's on Prime. Find Velocipaster. It's a damn good ride. But if you're looking for something really, really good, where you can actually like dig into like horror tropes that aren't so tropey, you want to feel that dread and horror, you want to know what's coming without necessarily seeing it coming, the movie for you is JuOn the Grudge. That's this movie. You should watch that.
That's this movie. You should watch it.
It's free on Tubi.
It's on Tubi. The link is in the... I'll probably put the link in the description while I'm thinking about it. But
if you can go out and find it on DVD along with all of his other counterparts, like the 400 million movies that are Grudge related. Find them all, because the lore is pretty good and the story does deepen the more you go through. So there's a lot. The Grudge, JuOn the Grudge 2 is a slightly more linear story. It still does the segments, like anthology kind of segments. The story is a little bit more linear. It does take things a little bit deeper. Again, it's a great villain and it's a great ride. So if you've not yet been exposed to the Grudge or to JuOn, welcome to the world, because this is a good space to be in. This is the reason why we talked about it so much on Friday. It's the reason why we chose to watch it today. It's to be watched.
It's to be watched. Take that as you will.
Tubi.
Haha. This isn't sponsored.
It should be, though.
It should be.
Reach out to us
one day. Reach out to us, indeed. So that was JuOn. That was our review on JuOn.
JuOn the Grudge, because there are several.
The Grudge.
JuOn the Grudge. Don't get confused with JuOn the Curse, and don't get confused with the Grudge. Either one of them, because they did a remake in 2020. Don't get me started on that one. JuOn the Grudge.
Yeah. Next week. Should I even talk about next week? And
next week's movie? No, not yet. You can tell me what we're talking about on Friday, though.
I will talk about. So we are talking about body horror.
And after this, after we close this, I got a link for you for a small little Asian short, body horror short that I will send you. It's weird. It's not scary. It's
just bizarre. Yeah.
It is bizarre, and I want you to see it because I want to talk about it this Friday when we talk about Sako the Moon live on YouTube. Cool.
This has been Sako and the Moon. If you liked this video at any point, I encourage you to, and you did.
Of course you did, because you love us.
If you made it to the end of this podcast, then yes, you love us.
You love
us. You might want to like or subscribe and maybe even ring the bell on the off chance that YouTube actually notifies you when we go live.
Hit the button.
And we will catch you. I'm gonna figure out a sign off.
We don't have a good sign off. Hey, if you get a good, like we normally go with like see you on the flip side, which is that's kind of like her thing. It's not really our thing,
right?
And I've stopped doing that, which is my flip side thing. Give us a sign off. If you're this far into the thing, you can help us. You're part of the family now. So like, leave it in the comment, like a cool
Leave
thing
it
for
in
us
the
to sign off.
comments. What should
Yeah.
be our sign off?
Yeah, give us a sign off. Until then, we out.
We out.